In a world that constantly pushes us to have more success, more relationships, more noise, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, exhausted, and confused. But have you ever asked yourself, does improvement in your life really require adding more? Or can you find peace by letting go of what no longer serves you? Maybe, just by removing the unnecessary, you can create space for clarity, peace, and purpose in life. That is why today we will explore 10 things you should quietly let go of and sicken your life to move toward a clearer, more peaceful sense of purpose. All of these are inspired by key principles of Stoicism and will help you transform not just outwardly, but also in how you think and act, without the need for dramatic declarations or external validation. These changes don't require you to do anything complicated or loud. Instead, they focus on removing the mental, emotional, and physical clutter that is occupying your life. You'll learn how to let go of invisible fears, like the fear of judgment from others, escape toxic relationships, release the need to control everything, and quiet the constant noise of the digital world. These are not easy changes. They are profound ones that you can truly feel over time. This transformation does not only occur on the surface, but goes deep into your thoughts and behaviors, bringing a life that is freer, more self-respecting, and more fulfilling. By the end of this episode, you will have a clear roadmap to remove what is holding you back and focus only on what truly matters. And sometimes, the deepest transformations happen in silence. So, where do we begin? Overcoming the fear of others' opinions. Have you ever asked yourself how much time in life you've spent adjusting your actions, words, or even dreams just because you worried about what others might think of you? It's a subtle fear that quietly sneaks into your mind, sometimes without you even noticing. You hesitate to share your ideas, you doubt your own decisions, or you hold yourself back from stepping outside your comfort zone, all because of an imagined judgment from others. This fear might not be obvious, but over time, it has shaped your actions and even your sense of self. It causes you to live a smaller version of yourself, a quieter version, where your choices are driven by external approval instead of internal satisfaction and fulfillment. But do you know the truth? The truth is, people don't think about you nearly as much as you imagine. Everyone is busy with their own lives, their own worries, and their own problems. The fear of others' opinions only lives because you imagine that everyone is watching you, waiting, and ready to judge your every move. But in reality, most people are too preoccupied with their own issues to care much about what you do. So, if someone does judge you, does it really affect your life? The truth is, most of the time, the answer is no. Their opinions don't pay your bills, don't build your dreams, and don't live your life for you. Once you realize this, you will understand that the burden you carry on your shoulders, the constant worry about others' judgment, is a burden you can absolutely choose to set down at any moment. Of course, this change is not easy, but once you manage to do it, you will feel a great sense of relief. Stoicism, one of the profound philosophies of ancient culture, has a powerful perspective on this issue. Epictetus, a renowned Stoic philosopher, taught that we should focus on what lies within our control, our thoughts, actions, and attitudes. You cannot control how others perceive you, but you can fully control how much you let their opinions affect you. He once said, "If you want to improve, be prepared to be seen as foolish and stupid." This statement does not mean we accept ignorance, but rather that we accept the fact that personal growth sometimes comes with discomfort, including being misunderstood or judged. Continuing from our reflection on letting go of the fear of others' judgment, we now turn to another equally important subject in the journey toward inner peace: eliminating toxic relationships. As we mentioned, overcoming the fear of others' opinions is not an easy battle. But when you begin to take action and prioritize your own voice, life gradually becomes clearer. However, to truly achieve peace and freedom, there is one more factor you must confront, and that is the relationships in your life. Eliminating toxic relationships. You've probably heard the saying, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." This is a well-known idea. But have you ever asked yourself what happens when some of those people drain your energy? When they make you question your self-worth, or even weaken your confidence? Toxic relationships are not always easy to recognize. Sometimes they are not loud, not filled with dramatic arguments or clearly negative actions. In fact, they can be very subtle, hidden within seemingly harmless behaviors. Imagine a long-term relationship with someone who always leaves you feeling tense after every interaction. Maybe they don't openly criticize you, but their words still make you feel unappreciated. Conversations with them carry a sense of lack, as if you are always the one giving without ever receiving. These are signs of a toxic relationship one, where it feels like only you are trying, while the other person offers no real support. Toxic relationships can take many forms. It could be a friend or co-worker who constantly makes you feel inferior, or a family member who always requires you to sacrifice your own needs just to please them. Regardless of how they manifest, these relationships quietly erode the peace in your mind. Feelings of anxiety, being unvalued, or even feeling trapped are clear indicators that you are in a toxic environment. You may find it difficult to face the idea of letting go of such relationships. You might think, "They are family, I can't give up on them." Or, "I can't walk away from my friends because I'm afraid of losing a long-standing relationship." But the truth is, toxic relationships don't just affect your emotions. They can harm your physical well-being as well. They lower your self-esteem, drain your motivation, and can even lead to health issues like stress and depression. Why choose to live in such an environment when you have the power to change it? The key lies in recognizing and confronting these relationships, no matter how difficult it may be. Sometimes real change doesn't come from prolonging an unhealthy connection, but from having the courage to let it go, no matter how fearful or uncertain you may feel. The important question is, are you willing to stand up for yourself, to seek genuine peace and happiness in relationships that are truly healthy? We all deserve to be surrounded by people who genuinely respect us and support our growth. People who encourage you to be yourself, who value your authenticity more than your compliance or efforts to please. Seek those who help you grow, who lift you when you need it, and who inspire you to live a life that aligns with who you really are. However, even when you surround yourself with positive people, remember that the ultimate goal is not to avoid judgment entirely. More importantly, You need to build enough inner strength so that outside opinions don't shake you. You will realize that when you know who you are and what your worth is, others' judgments no longer have a strong impact on you. The feeling of belonging is a natural human need. But what matters is that this sense of belonging comes from mutual respect, from being able to be yourself without needing to hide out of fear of rejection. True belonging only happens when you dare to live authentically, not when you change yourself to please others. So, are you willing to ask yourself, at the end of my life, do I want to look back and realize I lived by others' expectations? Or do I want to say I lived true to myself? This question can cut through all the noise and help you recognize what truly matters in the bigger picture of your life. As we've seen, overcoming the fear of judgment and letting go of toxic relationships is not an easy journey. However, when you begin to take action, you will feel a shift within yourself. Once you move through these challenges, life becomes much lighter. And that's when you can finally live a meaningful life, free, peaceful, and full of positive energy. Although we have discussed the importance of removing toxic relationships, many people still struggle to let them go. Guilt, fear of confrontation, or simply deeply ingrained habits can hold us back from walking away. But what you need to remember is that eliminating draining relationships doesn't mean you have to burn bridges or create unnecessary drama. On the contrary, sometimes the most effective way to do it is quietly and with intention. Letting go of toxic relationships quietly and with intention. You don't need to announce or justify your actions to anyone. In fact, this approach can bring peace to your mind. Start by gently creating distance. Spend less time with people who bring negativity into your life and more time with those who genuinely uplift you. The ones who are truly there for you and support you. But how can you identify toxic relationships in your life? Pay attention to how you feel after each interaction with someone. Do you feel drained, anxious, or small? Do you constantly have to walk on eggshells, avoid conflict, or fear rejection? If the answer is yes, that relationship may be doing more harm than good. A healthy relationship makes you feel energized, supported, and accepted for who you are, not emotionally or mentally depleted. So, why continue to maintain relationships that leave you feeling the opposite? Stoicism and maintaining inner peace. Stoicism consistently emphasizes the importance of preserving inner peace. Epictetus, a well-known Stoic philosopher, once said that the key to a peaceful life is to only maintain relationships with people who help you become the best version of yourself. This doesn't mean cutting off every difficult relationship at the first sign of conflict, but rather setting boundaries with those who consistently bring negativity or chaos into your life. Setting boundaries is not about shutting people out or avoiding others. It is a way to protect your own peace. These boundaries allow you to engage with others without sacrificing your well-being. For example, if you have a friend who constantly brings drama into your life, you can choose to limit how often you meet or steer conversations away from stressful topics. It's important to remember that some toxic relationships can be improved through open communication. Not all difficult relationships are beyond saving. Sometimes, honest conversations about your feelings can lead to real change and growth. However, if you've tried and nothing changes, then letting go becomes a reasonable and honorable decision. Letting go with kindness, letting go of toxic relationships doesn't mean you don't care about the other person. On the contrary, it means you care enough about yourself to prioritize your mental and emotional health. Sometimes, the greatest act of kindness you can offer yourself is quietly stepping away from relationships that no longer bring value and making space for new, healthier ones. Here is one practical step you can take right now. Make a list of the people in your life who uplifts you and makes you feel better about yourself. Who leaves you feeling drained or diminished? Once you identify the draining relationships, ask yourself if they can improve through communication. If not, it may be time to create some distance. Take small steps. Maybe it's limiting the time you spend with them, or simply setting boundaries to protect your peace. Don't forget to ask yourself, am I holding on to this relationship out of habit, or because it truly adds value to my life? If the answer is habit, begin to let go gently and quietly. You do not need anyone's permission or approval to protect your peace. You owe it to yourself to create an environment that supports your growth, not one that holds you back. The key to true self-respect. Ultimately, letting go of toxic relationships is not a harsh or cruel act. It is an act of kindness toward yourself. When you release these draining connections, you not only make space for healthier relationships, but also open the door to a more peaceful and fulfilling life. True self-respect comes from surrounding yourself with people who see your worth and help you become the best version of yourself. We've talked about letting go of toxic relationships and overcoming the fear of judgment. But another essential factor in building a purposeful life is eliminating self-sabotaging habits. These habits, though seemingly harmless, like scrolling through social media late at night or procrastinating on important tasks, can silently erode your peace, productivity, and well-being. So how can we let go of these habits and create lasting change? Breaking free from self-sabotaging habits. You've likely noticed habits that seemed minor at first, but over time had a significant negative impact. Constantly scrolling social media at night, putting off tasks, or eating to relieve stress may offer short-term comfort, but they also drain your energy and reduce your productivity. These behaviors don't just waste time, they wear you down, weaken your self-discipline, and hold you back from living the life you truly want. So how do you break free from them? The first step in this journey is awareness. Most destructive habits run on autopilot. You perform them unconsciously because they've become part of your daily routine. The key to change is identifying these habits. Ask yourself, which habits make me feel worse afterward? Or which habits are holding back my progress? Once you bring these patterns into your awareness, you can begin the process of letting them go. Stoicism and self-mastery. Stoicism, through its philosophy, emphasizes the importance of mastering the self. Stoic thinkers believed that true freedom comes from controlling desires and impulses instead of letting them control your life. Seneca, one of the most well-known Stoic philosophers, once wrote, "The most powerful person is the one who has control over themselves." This doesn't mean you have to become perfect. It means you must learn to manage the things that cause unnecessary suffering in your life. An effective strategy for breaking bad habits is replacement. Instead of just trying to stop a habit, replace it with one that is more positive. For example, if you find yourself mindlessly scrolling your phone out of boredom, try picking up a book or taking a short walk around the neighborhood instead. The goal isn't to create empty space in your time, but to fill that space with better actions for yourself. Start small. Many people struggle with changing habits because they set goals that are too big, too fast. You want to change a bad habit, but you start with overly strict demands. In reality, instead of trying to completely overhaul a habit overnight, focus on making small, manageable changes. If you want to cut down on late-night snacking, don't aim to eliminate all junk food immediately. Start by replacing one unhealthy snack with a more nutritious option. These small wins will gradually build up, creating momentum and confidence in your journey of change. Additionally, a very important factor in this process is self-compassion. Breaking self-sabotaging habits is not easy, and there will be times when you slip up. Instead of blaming yourself, view it as a learning opportunity. Ask, what triggered this behavior? And how can I respond differently next time? The goal isn't perfection, it's consistent progress. Keep moving toward a healthier, more intentional life, one step at a time. A practical exercise to change habits. Here is a simple but practical exercise you can do right now. Choose one habit you want to change in the upcoming week. Focus on replacing that habit with a more positive action. Each day, track your progress, and at the end of the week, reflect on how you feel. How did you feel after making that change? Did it help you feel more in control, more peaceful, or more effective? Use those reflections to keep improving. Also, ask yourself, am I controlling my habits, or are my habits controlling me? If the answer is that your habits are in control, remember that you have the power to change. Every small step you take toward eliminating a self-destructive habit is a step closer to greater freedom and self-respect. Habits shape your life. Ultimately, your habits are what shape your life. By quietly removing the ones that no longer serve you, you make room for better habits that support growth, enhance health, and help you become the person you aspire to be. True progress doesn't come from grand gestures, but from small, consistent actions. These small changes lead to lasting transformation in your life. Letting go of the need to control everything, chances are you've had moments when you tried to control every detail in your life, right? Whether it's work, relationships, or outcomes of situations beyond your reach. The desire to control everything often gives us a false sense of safety and stability. But surprisingly, this desire for control is the source of much of our stress and anxiety. The more you try to control everything, the more exhausted and disappointed you become when things don't go as planned. However, letting go of control doesn't mean becoming passive or indifferent to life. On the contrary, it means choosing to focus your energy on what you can control and allowing life to take care of the rest. This is a fundamental principle in Stoic philosophy. Epictetus, a prominent Stoic philosopher, once said, "Some things are up to us and some things are not." He taught that we should direct our energy toward our thoughts, actions, and reactions, while accepting the uncertainty of external events. You've probably experienced this. You're stuck in traffic, on the way to an important meeting. You can't control the traffic, but you can absolutely control how you respond to it. You might get angry, honk your horn, and raise your stress level, or you can take a deep breath, accept the situation, and use that time to listen to a podcast or reflect on your day. The result arriving late remains the same, but your experience will be vastly different depending on where you choose to place your energy. Shifting your mindset and accepting uncertainty. Letting go of control requires a shift in mindset from resisting uncertainty to accepting it. Instead of trying to plan every detail, you need to recognize that uncertainty is a natural part of life, and no amount of worry or over-planning can remove it. When you accept that not everything is within your control, you free yourself from unnecessary stress and create space for inner peace. Another way to practice letting go is to detach yourself from outcomes. This doesn't mean you don't care about what happens. It means you do your best in every situation and then let go, without obsessing over whether the result meets your expectations. For example, when you're working on a project, focus on doing your best instead of worrying about whether it will be praised or criticized. When you detach from the practical exercise for letting go of control, here's an exercise you can try today. When you feel stressed because things aren't going as expected, pause and ask yourself, is this something I can control? Shish, the answer is yes. Take action. If the answer is no, practice letting go by gently reminding yourself, I can't control this, but I can control how I respond to it. Over time, this habit will help you stay calm and navigate uncertainty more easily. Practicing mindfulness is also very helpful in this process. When you are fully present in the moment, you are less likely to worry about things beyond your control. Try a simple mindfulness exercise like focusing on your breath for a few minutes, or observing your surroundings without judgment. These practices help train your mind to stay in the present and reduce the urge to control everything. Let go of what you can't control. Are you feeling drained from trying to control what is out of your hands? If so, start with something small. Today, try letting go of one thing, whether it's the outcome of a conversation, someone's opinion, or a minor inconvenience. Notice how it feels to set that burden down, even for just a moment. It might bring you a sense of lightness and freedom you haven't felt before. Remember, letting go of control doesn't mean giving up. It means choosing peace over anxiety, acceptance over resistance. Life will always carry uncertainties, but by focusing on what you can control, your thoughts, actions, and attitude, you reclaim your energy and free yourself from endless struggle. And in that freedom, you will find clarity, strength, and a calm mind ready to face whatever comes next. Let go of unrealistic expectations. Unrealistic expectations are often silent saboteurs. They create a constant gap between how you hope life will be and how it actually is. You might expect others to always meet your standards, hope for quick success, or believe things should unfold smoothly without obstacles. But these expectations often lead to disappointment, frustration, and unnecessary stress. We've all fallen into this trap. Maybe you hoped a friend would behave a certain way and felt hurt when they didn't. Or perhaps you set an overly ambitious goal and felt like a failure when progress didn't come as quickly as you hoped. The problem isn't in having goals or desires. It's in becoming too attached to a specific outcome. forgetting that life is unpredictable. Stoicism teaches us to approach life with realism and flexibility. Marcus Aurelius, a renowned Stoic philosopher, once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." This means you cannot control how life unfolds, but you can absolutely control how you respond when things don't go as planned. By letting go of rigid expectations, you open yourself to embracing life as it is, instead of constantly forcing it to meet your ideal. Perfectionism and imperfection. One common root of unrealistic expectations is perfectionism. Many of us set impossible standards for ourselves, believing we must excel at everything and never make mistakes. But perfection is an unreachable goal, a moving target that always leaves you feeling not good enough. Letting go of perfectionism means embracing progress over perfection and allowing yourself to grow through trial and error. Another form of unrealistic expectation comes from how we perceive others. You may expect people to always understand you, agree with you, or behave according to your ideals. But this only leads to disappointment. The reality is, everyone has flaws, limitations, and their own perspectives just like you. Instead of expecting perfection from others, practice acceptance and empathy. This doesn't mean you have to tolerate harmful behavior, but it does mean recognizing that each person is on their own journey, and not everything will align with your expectations. How to begin letting go of unrealistic expectations. To start letting go of unrealistic expectations, you can follow these steps. Identify where your expectations may be too high. Ask yourself whether you're expecting instant results in an area that requires patience. Are you imposing unreachable standards on others? When you notice these expectations, ask whether they are realistic or simply adding unnecessary stress. Shift your mindset toward flexibility. Instead of expecting everything to go perfectly, prepare yourself for different outcomes. This doesn't mean lowering your standards. It means being open to the fact that life is unpredictable and things don't always go as planned. Accepting imperfection allows you to live with more ease and less tension. A practical exercise to let go of unrealistic expectations. Think of an area in your life where you're feeling disappointed. Ask yourself, am I disappointed because I had an unrealistic expectation? If the answer is yes, take a deep breath and try to adjust your expectation. Rather than expecting perfection, focus on what you can control: your effort, your attitude, and your response to the situation. Ask yourself, am I holding on to expectations that are making me unhappy? If so, remind yourself that letting go of unrealistic expectations doesn't mean giving up. It's a way to free yourself from unnecessary stress and disappointment. You can still aim high while remaining flexible about how and when things unfold. Living realistically and finding peace in imperfection. Life rarely goes exactly the way we imagine. By releasing unrealistic expectations, you create space for acceptance, gratitude, and peace. You stop resisting reality and start flowing with it, allowing yourself to find joy in progress instead of perfection. With this mindset, even when things don't go as planned, you can remain calm, resilient, and focused on what truly matters. Letting go of the need to always be right. You've probably found yourself in this situation before. A tense argument where, instead of seeking mutual understanding, all you want is to prove you're right. The need to always be right not only creates stress, it also damages relationships. It builds unnecessary conflict and opposition, when what truly matters is peace of mind. The problem with this need is that it turns every disagreement into a battle, rather than an opportunity to understand each other. Ironically, even if you win the argument, the victory often doesn't feel fulfilling. That's because it may come at the cost of harmony and mutual respect. The urge to be right only provides a fleeting satisfaction to your ego, while distancing you from the things that truly matter. Letting go of the need to always be right doesn't mean abandoning your beliefs. In truth, it's about choosing your battles wisely, knowing when to stand your ground and when to compromise for the sake of inner peace. Not every disagreement needs a winner. Sometimes wisdom lies in agreeing to disagree and choosing harmony and respect over personal pride. Stoicism and the lesson of humility. Stoicism offers a timeless lesson in letting go of the need to always be right. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, taught, "A person cannot learn what they think they already know." True wisdom doesn't come from always being right, but from humility, the willingness to listen, to learn, and to admit when you might be wrong. When you let go of the need to be right, you open the door to new perspectives and personal growth. Think about this. The people you respect the most are not the ones who dominate every conversation or insist on having the last word, but those who listen deeply, acknowledge different viewpoints, and respond with thoughtfulness. These individuals are not afraid to admit they might be wrong and are willing to learn from others. The truth about being right and being kind. When you always try to be right, you might feel satisfied in the moment, but kindness and understanding build lasting respect and trust. Being right may feel good briefly, but harmony and mutual understanding foster stronger, more meaningful relationships, and that's what truly matters. A practical way to start letting go of this need is by practicing active listening. Active listening and seeking understanding. Next time you find yourself in an argument, instead of immediately trying to prove your point, pause and genuinely listen to what the other person is saying. Ask yourself, am I listening to understand, or am I just waiting for my turn to speak? By shifting your focus from winning to understanding, you create space for more meaningful and respectful conversations. Ask yourself, is this worth disturbing my peace over? Not every disagreement deserves your emotional energy. If it's a minor issue or something that won't matter in the long run, it's better to let it go. Prioritizing inner peace over the need to be right is not weakness, it is true strength. It shows that you value your peace more than temporary ego gratification. A practical exercise to let go of the need to always be right. Try this exercise. The next time you find yourself in a disagreement, pause and ask yourself, do I need to be right, or do I want to understand? If your ego is driving the desire to win, take a step back and focus on listening and understanding. Pay attention to how this shift changes the tone of the conversation and how you feel afterward. Ask yourself, am I trading my peace just to prove a point? If the answer is yes, remember that letting go of the need to be right is not a failure. In fact, it is choosing a better outcome, one of harmony, respect, and emotional well-being. Conclusion: life is not a win or lose battle. Ultimately, letting go of the need to be right helps you live with less stress, build stronger relationships, and gain deeper inner peace. It frees you from the exhausting cycle of constantly defending your ego and allows you to focus on what truly matters: growth, understanding, and authentic connection. When you prioritize those values over being right, you don't just win the argument, you reclaim your peace of mind. Calming digital noise. You've likely felt overwhelmed by the flood of notifications, emails, messages, and app updates. While technology offers incredible convenience, it also creates digital noise that can leave your mind cluttered, your energy drained, and your focus fragmented. If left unchecked, this noise contributes to stress, anxiety, and a disconnection from yourself. The problem with digital noise isn't just that it takes up your time, it also occupies your mental space. When you're always connected, your mind never truly rests. You may think you're staying informed or connected, but in reality, you're overstimulating your brain, which reduces your ability to concentrate, reflect, and be present in the moment. This constant stimulation is what makes you feel stressed and fatigued. Calming digital noise doesn't mean abandoning technology altogether. It means setting boundaries so that you can use technology with intention, rather than letting it control you. Start by identifying the main sources of digital noise in your life. Are you someone who endlessly scrolls through social media, gets constant email notifications, or participates in group chats that never end? Once you recognize the source, you can begin taking steps to reduce their impact. Strategies to calm digital noise. An effective strategy for reducing digital noise is to declutter your digital environment. Unfollow accounts that don't add value to your life. Unsubscribe from unnecessary emails and turn off non-essential notifications. Every small step you take to reduce noise creates mental space for clarity and peace. Another powerful habit is to set technology-free periods during your day. For example, start your morning without checking your phone for the first 30 minutes. Use that time to meditate, journal, or simply enjoy a quiet moment. Similarly, set a time in the evening to put your devices away and unwind without screens. These small changes can have a profound impact on your mental health, helping you feel refreshed and more focused. Stoicism and control of attention. Stoicism emphasizes the importance of focusing on what you can control. In a world full of digital distractions, you may not be able to eliminate them entirely, but you can control how much you engage with them. Marcus Aurelius, a famous Stoic philosopher, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Recognizing this gives you strength to take charge of your attention and protect it as a precious resource. Applying this wisdom to the digital age means consciously managing your attention and shielding it from constant distractions. Here's a simple practice you can try. Set specific times in your day to check your phone or emails. Instead of responding to every notification instantly, use features like Do Not Disturb or app limits to stay disciplined. You'll be surprised by how much more focused and present you feel when you're not constantly reacting to digital interruptions. Control technology instead of letting it control you. Ask yourself, am I using technology intentionally, or is technology using me? If you find that you're spending more time on meaningless content than on meaningful activities, it may be time to reset your relationship with technology. Quiet the digital noise to reconnect with yourself. Remember, calming digital noise isn't about disconnecting from the world. It's about reconnecting with yourself. When you reduce constant distractions, you make space for deeper focus, richer conversations, and peace of mind. In a world that is always switched on, learning to step back, be still, and choose what truly deserves your attention is one of the most valuable skills you can develop. So, are you ready to reduce digital noise and spend more time on what really matters? Try applying these small changes to your life, and you'll notice a real difference in how you feel and how you engage with the world around you. Transforming negative thoughts into positive ones. Negative thoughts can creep into your mind in subtle ways. At first, they may appear as small doubts, worries, or self-criticism. But if left unchecked, they can grow into mental loops that make life feel heavy and stressful. The truth is, your thoughts shape your reality. If you constantly feed your mind with negativity, it's no surprise that you'll feel anxious, unmotivated, or overwhelmed. Stoicism teaches that while we can't always control what happens to us, we can control how we interpret and respond to those events. Marcus Aurelius, a renowned Stoic philosopher, wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." This means that by changing how you think, you can change how you experience life. Transforming negative thoughts into positive ones isn't about denying reality or forcing fake optimism. It's about learning to recognize and replace harmful thinking with more constructive alternatives. Step 1. Awareness of negative thinking. The first step to transforming negative thoughts is awareness. Many of us don't even realize we're engaging in self-criticism because it's become a habit. Start by paying attention to your inner dialogue. When you notice a negative thought, don't judge yourself. Instead, simply acknowledge it. Ask yourself, is this thought helping me, or is it holding me back? That one simple question creates enough distance between you and the thought, so you're no longer controlled by it. Next step, reframing the problem. Once you've recognized a negative thought, the next step is to practice reframing, looking at the situation from a different, more constructive perspective. For example, if you catch yourself thinking, "I always mess things up," try reframing it as, "I made a mistake, but I can learn and improve." This doesn't deny the mistake, it simply places it in a more productive light, turning it into an opportunity for growth instead of a reason for self-blame. Gratitude and redirecting your focus. Another powerful tool for transforming negative thinking is gratitude. Negative thoughts often center on what's missing or what's wrong. Practicing gratitude helps shift your focus to what is good and present in your life. When you feel overwhelmed by negative thoughts, pause and list 3 things you're grateful for in that moment. It could be something as simple as having a roof over your head, a supportive friend, or the opportunity to learn something new. Gratitude doesn't erase your challenges, but it helps you balance your perspective and see life more clearly. Surround yourself with positive influences. Surrounding yourself with positive influences is equally important. The people you spend time with and the content you consume greatly impact your mindset. If you're constantly exposed to negativity, it's harder to maintain a positive outlook. Seek out friends, mentors, and communities that uplift you. Those who help you see things from a more hopeful and empowering perspective. Fill your mind with books, podcasts, and conversations that inspire and motivate. Over time, this environment will reinforce healthier thinking patterns. Practical exercise to transform negative thoughts. Here's an exercise you can try today. The next time you find yourself caught in a loop of negative thinking, take a deep breath and ask yourself, is this thought based on fact, or is it just fear or assumption? If it's fear or assumption, challenge it and replace it with a more balanced and helpful thought. For example, if you're thinking, I'll never succeed, reframe it as, success takes time and every step I take brings me closer. Ask yourself, am I feeding my mind with thoughts that lift me up or pull me down? If the answer is pulling me down, commit to changing your perspective. Remember, you may not always be able to control the first thought that pops into your mind, but you can absolutely choose whether to keep thinking it or replace it with something better. Conclusion: rewiring your brain with positive thinking. Transforming negative thoughts into positive ones isn't about pretending everything is perfect. It's about choosing a mindset that empowers rather than limits you. This practice rewires your brain, helping you become more resilient, optimistic, and in control of your inner world. When you master your thoughts, you master your life. So, are you ready to begin shifting negative thoughts into more positive ones? When you do, life begins to feel lighter, with more room for growth and possibility. Decluttering physically and mentally. When your living or working space is cluttered, your brain must process all that visual input, even if you're not consciously aware of it. This overload of stimuli can increase stress and reduce your ability to focus. That's why decluttering isn't just about making a space look good. It's about creating an environment that supports your mental well-being. Start with physical clutter. Try cleaning one small area in your home, like your desk or a drawer. As you tidy up your physical space, you'll often feel a mental sense of relief and lightness. Decluttering isn't about achieving perfection. It's about creating intentional space. Ask yourself, do these items add value to my life, or are they just taking up space? If something no longer serves your purpose or brings you joy, consider letting it go. The goal is to surround yourself with things that support you, not overwhelm you. When you clear physical clutter, you also create space for peace and clarity to grow. Decluttering your mental space. Now, let's talk about mental clutter. This can come in the form of racing thoughts, unresolved emotions, or unfinished tasks weighing on your mind. Mental clutter often appears when we try to do too many things at once, or hold on to unresolved issues. These distractions drain your energy and prevent you from focusing on what truly matters. Stoic philosophers believed in simplifying life by focusing only on what is truly important. Seneca, one of the great Stoics, once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Decluttering the mind means letting go of unnecessary worries and distractions, so you can redirect your energy to what really matters. Effective ways to clear the mind. 1. Highly effective method for clearing your mind is journaling. Spend a few minutes each day writing down your thoughts, worries, and to-do lists. Getting things out of your head and onto paper helps reduce mental load. Your journal can also become a tool for reflection, helping you identify what's weighing on you and how to take concrete steps to address it. Another strategy is conscious prioritization. Mental clutter often arises when we try to do everything at once. Instead of scattering your energy across many tasks, focus on the most important ones. Each morning, write down your top 3 priorities for the day. By simplifying your focus, you'll reduce overwhelm and increase your sense of accomplishment. A practical exercise to declutter, physically and mentally. Here's an exercise you can try today. Choose one small area of your home to clean a shelf, a corner of a room, or your desk. As you physically declutter, notice how your mind feels. Then, take 5 minutes to write down any thoughts or worries clouding your mind. This practice helps create space for calm and clarity. As you declutter, ask yourself, am I holding onto anything physically or mentally that no longer serves me? If the answer is yes, begin the process of letting go. Decluttering isn't about getting rid of everything, but about making room for what truly matters. Creating space for clarity and peace. Remember, clutter, whether external or internal, creates unnecessary noise in your life. By quietly removing what no longer serves you, you make space for focus, clarity, and peace. Life becomes simpler, lighter, and more intentional. In that simplicity, you'll find greater freedom and deeper peace. Are you ready to start clearing your physical space and your mind? Try incorporating these small changes into your life and notice how differently you feel and engage with the world around you. 10. Escaping the trap of unnecessary comparison. In a world where people constantly share snapshots of their successes, happiness, and lavish lifestyles on social media, it's easy to fall into the trap of comparison. You see someone get promoted, find a new partner, or travel somewhere beautiful, and suddenly your own life feels less exciting, less accomplished, and somehow not enough. But the truth is, comparing yourself to others is a trap, one that robs you of joy and self-worth, leaving you feeling inadequate. The problem with comparison is that it's often based on incomplete information. You're comparing your full, messy, and complex life, complete with struggles, doubts, and ordinary moments, to a curated highlight reel of someone else's best moments. This skewed perspective makes the comparison unfair, but still all too powerful, dragging you into a loop of self-doubt. Stoicism and the approach to comparison. Stoic philosophers offered a powerful perspective on comparison. Instead of measuring progress by other people's lives, they believed in comparing only with who you were in the past. Seneca once advised, "As long as you live, keep learning." In other words, the only comparison that truly matters is how far you've come on your own journey. Progress isn't about outpacing others. It's about becoming a better version of yourself each day. Escaping the comparison trap begins with turning your focus inward. Ask yourself, what are my values, and am I living in alignment with them? When you focus on what truly matters to you, Rather than chasing external markers of success, the lives of others lose their power to sway you. You begin to define success on your own terms, based on growth and personal fulfillment. Practice gratitude to shift your focus. One powerful way to escape the trap of unnecessary comparison is by practicing gratitude. When you constantly compare yourself to others, your mind becomes focused only on what's missing. Gratitude helps redirect your attention to what is already present and good in your life. Each day, take a moment to reflect on 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be big. It could be a good meal, a supportive friend, or a moment of peace. Gratitude won't erase life's challenges, but it will help you see your life more clearly and feel a deeper sense of fulfillment. Limit triggers and create a positive environment. It's also important to limit your exposure to comparison triggers. If scrolling through social media leaves you feeling inadequate, take a break or unfollow accounts that make you feel less than. Instead, spend more time on activities that bring you joy and contentment. You have the power to choose what you consume, and creating a positive environment is essential to maintaining inner peace. Practical exercise to escape the comparison trap. Here's an exercise you can try today. The next time you catch yourself comparing, pause and ask, "What have I done recently that I'm proud of?" This simple question helps shift your focus back to your own progress and reinforces your self-worth. Ask yourself, am I living according to my own values, or am I chasing someone else's version of success? If it's the latter, remind yourself that everyone's path is different. What works for others may not work for you, and that's perfectly okay. Your journey is unique and worthy of respect. Conclusion. Your journey is unique. In the end, escaping the trap of unnecessary comparison allows you to live with less stress and more freedom. You begin to feel at peace and focus on what truly matters to you. Remember, your life is a personal journey, and as long as you're walking your own path, it will always hold meaning. When you begin measuring success on your own terms, you'll find joy and fulfillment within the life you already have. Final conclusion. Transformation in silence. Comparison is a distraction. It pulls you away from appreciating your own journey and creates needless tension. When you let go of the urge to measure your life against others, you free yourself to focus on what truly matters: growth, joy, and your own unique path. In doing so, you'll discover greater peace, fulfillment, and a deeper sense of purpose, one no longer weighed down by unnecessary comparison. Life isn't always about adding more. Often, it's about letting go of what no longer serves you. The things we cling to fear, toxic relationships, bad habits, or unrealistic expectations, quietly shape our lives. They drain our energy, limit our potential, and prevent us from living with true clarity and peace. But when you begin to quietly release them, you create space for something greater: freedom, fulfillment, and inner strength. This journey is not about dramatic change or loud declarations. It's about making quiet, intentional choices that lead to lasting transformation. It's about learning to release the fear of judgment, cutting ties with what drains you, and building a life where your time, mind, and heart are filled with what lifts you up. Change begins within. When you do this, you begin to live by your own values, not the expectations of others. Letting go isn't easy. It takes courage to distance yourself from toxic connections, discipline to break self-sabotaging habits, and self-awareness to release the need for control. But every small step you take, every quiet decision to remove what no longer serves you, brings you closer to a life of clarity, purpose, and peace. As Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Recognize that power, and you will find strength. True strength is not in changing the world around you, but in changing how you respond to it, when you stop trying to control what's beyond your reach, and focus instead on what you can control: your thoughts, actions, and attitude. You take back your life. Profound transformation in silence. This is true transformation. It's not always loud or visible to the world. Sometimes, the deepest changes happen in silence, in the peaceful moments when you choose to let go of what's holding you back. It is in those moments that you begin to build a life that reflects your true self, stronger, calmer, and more focused on what truly matters. Ask yourself, what can I quietly release from my life today? It might be a small habit, a negative thought, or even a toxic influence. Start small. Change doesn't have to be overwhelming. It can be gradual, steady, and intentional. Every small decision to let go brings you closer to a freer, less stressful life with deeper self-respect. Creating a life that truly belongs to you. Remember, you don't need to explain your journey to anyone. You don't need validation for the things you choose to release. This is your life, and your path is uniquely yours. What matters is that you are moving forward quietly, steadily becoming the person you want to be. So move ahead with intention, silently letting go of what no longer serves you, and watch as you create space for what truly matters. Peace of mind, genuine connection, and a life aligned with your values. Thank you for listening. If this episode resonated with you, take a moment to reflect on what you have learned. And if you're ready to begin transforming your life quietly, start with one small change today. Remember, true transformation doesn't begin with noise. It begins with silent courage. See you next time. Keep growing, keep letting go, and keep creating a life that truly belongs to you. Be strong, live intentionally, and most importantly, always live authentically.